Jai Hind everyone. In the recent past, country has seen various examples wherein people who came from the affluent backgrounds, people who were abled, had claimed the benefits which were actually meant for the people from depressed communities. Now, this is something that is eroding the faith of a common man, of a citizen from institutions like the UPSC. The people are slowly losing the faith from the constitutional provisions because they feel that these future administrators have already started to misuse the loopholes. These are the people who have already started to exploit the loopholes, and the benefit which was supposed to reach the depressed is now being used by the people who are already ahead of many. The EWS quota and the physically disabled quota, we have had various examples that it has been misused by the people who actually were not part of this. The EWS quota was meant to uplift the economically weak, but is it truly reaching the deserving people or being cornered by those who are already ahead? Now, in this session, we will actually discuss that what does this EWS quota means and how the loopholes have enabled the affluent people to exploit these provisions. But one thing for sure, I'm saying that not everyone's intention is wrong behind claiming these quota. Not everyone has had bad intent while claiming it, but one thing is there for sure, that the verification mechanism is so loose that people are misusing these policy provisions, and they are still flourishing in their future careers as well as their future lives. Now, when we start off with this, what does this EWS quota means? Now, this was introduced via the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act, and it provided for Article 15, Section 6 and 16, Section 6, which provided 10% reservation in government jobs and the education for the economically weaker section. The people who are eligible should have a family income below rupees 8 lakh per annum, no ownership of specified assets like the large agricultural land, residential flats above certain size, and must not be covered under SC, ST or OBC reservation. Now, this is something that is exclusively meant for people coming from a poor economic background and belonging to general category. Now, in this situation, the Supreme Court has also upheld the amendment in November 2022 by majority. Now, majority had held that the economic criteria alone can be a valid reason for reservation, while the minority dissent argued that it violated the basic structure of the Constitution. Now, this was a well-intentional policy on paper, but implementation is where the cracks have started to show up. Now, in the recent survey conducted by, in a recent investigation rather, conducted by a very prominent news agency in the country, has found out the results that will shock you. In the 2025 exam result that was declared in March 2026, in 2025 exam, the result that was declared in March 2026, a total of 958 candidates were recommended against 1087 total vacancies, out of which 104 candidates have cracked the examination in EWS category and constituted to around 10.9%. So essentially, EWS now constitutes 10.85% of total selections, which is very close to the mandated 10% ceiling. Now, what did the investigation reveal? Out of these 104 candidates, 64% candidates had attended premium coaching institutes wherein the fees ranged to up to 2.65 lakh rupees per year. They had studied in expensive private schools that had fees around 45,000 to around 1.5 lakh per year. Along with it, their parents had businesses, no matter small or large, but yes, 26.9% were those whose parents had businesses, and 9.6% had held prior corporate jobs and in the MNCs and had come from premier institutes. Now, I'm not saying that all of these are fraud. Many genuine cases exist: children of security guards, bus conductor, railway porters, and farmers. But for every deserving son of a security guard, it appeared that there were several from affluent backgrounds who had availed the same quota. Now, when we move ahead, there had been a very prominent case, the Aastha Jain case. Okay. Now, before moving into this case, I want to clarify that this case, okay, has raised questions, okay, around the policy, okay, but no judicial wrongdoing has been established in this case. Clear? So there has been no wrongdoing found in this case, just a few loopholes that had surfaced. Now, this case, Aastha Jain had secured All India rank 9 in UPSC Civil Services 2025, and previously in 2024 examination, she had cracked the examination with 186 rank, okay, and had got the Indian Police Services, and then she had cracked the examination in 2025 with All India rank 9, but as a economically weaker section candidate. Okay, so in 2024 she had appeared as a general category. In 25 she had appeared as an EWS candidate. Now the question comes about the category migration without a demonstrable socio-economic change. But there is a legal nuance in this. Okay, there is no judicial findings establishing wrongdoing in this. EWS eligibility is based on current income and asset criteria, and a candidate can qualify in one attempt even if they did not in the previous one. So EWS policy, the core problem here in the EWS policy has a loophole, not because of bad intent by the people who have been using it, but because the verification mechanism does not track longitudinal changes. Income on paper at the point of application is checked, but the income trajectory and the asset accumulation over multiple years are not systematically verified. The Aastha Jain case is not a case of fraud. It is a clear case of policy design gap that deserves immediate legislative attention. Now, moving ahead, the morality and the ethics involved in this. Morality and ethics expected from those who will be the future leaders, okay, who will govern and will be the actual who will lead governance from top to the bottom. The question herein comes: the quota that was designed for the genuinely economically weak people, its misuse by the relatively privileged candidates is truly depriving the deserving candidates. Moreover, it undermines the principle of social justice and public trust in the reservation system. Genuine aspirants from poor backgrounds who clear the exam on merit are feeling cheated when seats are taken by those who can afford expensive coaching and schooling. The people are now losing faith in institutions like UPSC, and it also affects the morale of thousands of honest aspirants, and it will in future for sure weaken the administrative legitimacy. So question is, are we treating poverty or privilege as the primary axis of this affirmative action? When the privileged hide behind the cloak of poverty, the real poor are pushed further back from where it will again take them ages to recover and to proceed ahead. Now, basically, the wider crisis, if we talk about the wider crisis, we can see there has been a huge certificate fraud and systematic failure. Beyond UPSC 2025, there has been a pattern of misuse. The Department of Personnel and Training had conducted an inquiry in May 2025. The probe launched into 15 civil services officers across 8 states for allegedly using fake EWS or income certificates. Now, IS Ravi Sihag is under investigation for allegedly using a fake EWS certificate to secure All India rank 18. 20 more bureaucrats are under the probe. Nearly 20 bureaucrats investigated for using the fake income and disability certificate in UPSC exams in June 2025. Now, this basically reflects a systematic failure. Income certificates are issued by state authorities with minimal verification. No centralized database is maintained. Okay, and there is no database that could track certificate authenticity across attempts. There is no longitudinal tracking of income trajectory or asset accumulation. Now, the problem is not just with these 104 candidates, it is a system that allows manipulation at every level possible. Now, this something has got a negative impact upon the society as well as upon the genuine aspirants. Okay, so what it means for genuine aspirants? So for general category, 104 fewer seats compared to the pre 2029. Years of preparation often at a great personal and financial cost, and the feeling my family earns 8.5 lakhs. Why am I penalized? There is no alternative quota to fall back on. So, this is something that every general category aspirant is feeling. For EWS aspirants, again, they have got the setback. For every EWS aspirant, the aspirant fees the genuine economic hardships often first generation graduates have been feeling. Okay, the EWS quota is their only pathway to government service. Now they are facing stigma. You got in because of quota, not merit. Now this is stigma that they have been facing. Now there is insecure documentation. Income certificates can be questioned years later. Okay. Moreover, this also has got implication for SC/ST aspirant. So they have been excluded from EWS despite being equally or more poor. Their poverty is multidimensional caste discrimination, which compounds economic disadvantages. And the message is your caste disqualifies you from the economic reservation. Okay, so in turn, every candidate wants a fair, transparent, and predictable system. The EWS controversy has made the system less predictable for everyone. Now, around this, herein we have discussed a very micro effect upon fellow aspirants. But what does this mean for the entire country? Now, this essentially has weakened the bureaucratic merit. A civil service perceived as unfairly selected has lost legitimacy. Okay, and in turn, people are losing the faith. Okay, it instead of reducing the inequality, the system has been rewarding those who can manipulate it. Okay, it is creating friction between communities and has been eroding the social cohesion amongst the people. Reservation becomes a vote bank issue rather than a tool for justice. Okay, the most needy sections are not uplifted, and thus it is defeating the very purpose of this affirmative action that was done. Okay, so in general, a policy that was meant to bridge the gap is actually widening the gap, and it is hurting both the merit and also the marginalized section of the society. So, what essentially is the way forward? Now, if we talk about the way forward or the immediate reforms, first and foremost, the state must strengthen the income and asset verification. Okay. First and foremost, the government must go beyond self declaration. Everything must be linked with Aadhaar, IT returns, property records, they all must be linked. Okay. And the government must introduce the multi year income assessment to prevent sudden switch of this category. It is also advised that the government must introduce a creamy layer within the EWS section. So families with any member in Group A or Group B government service should be excluded. Why should IAS officers' children get quota? Now, this is a big question that has to be addressed here. Okay, if somebody's father or mother, okay, is serving in Group A or Group B, whether in central or state services, why their children are getting the quota? Cap the coaching fees reimbursements that is taking place. Okay, so they must introduce income-based scholarships. They must prevent who can afford to rupees 2.65 lakh coaching from claiming the EWS quota. Okay, there has to be a centralized online certificate system. there must be a fully online centralized application process for the EWS certificates. There must be a dedicated nodal officer in every district, and strict penalties must be ensured for false declarations. Okay. Finally, there must be mandatory document submission. Okay. The center has already made submission for age and quota related papers mandatory for UPSC. Now, this must be extended to EWS also, and there must be a rigorous pre-verification also. Okay. Now, if we these are some immediate reforms that must be introduced, but there has to be some long-term vision also. Okay. First and foremost, they must shift focus to foundational equity. Now, reservation in itself is a downstream solution. So we have to address the upstream problem. Now, massive investment in quality public education, healthcare, nutrition must happen. If every child has equal foundational opportunity, the need for quota will gradually diminish. Okay. The government must create a national data registry. Okay, so it is a very transparent process to track eligibility across all categories. There must be longitudinal tracking of income and assets. Okay. The government must introduce a sunset clause for EWS verification. Okay. Now, in this, what does this sunset clause? Now, this reservation should not be perpetual. It should be reviewed after every 10 years with sunset provisions. Okay. And the state should ask, is economic inequality still at this level? Okay. Along with this, the government must encourage private sector participation. Okay, skill development and employment for EWS youth must be done. Public-private partnership for coaching and mentorship must be done. Okay, there must be a transparent UPSC data disclosure. The UPSC must public the category-wise cutoffs. Okay, they must publish the income profiles and socio-economic backgrounds, and this is something that would build trust and allow evidence-based policy. So the government should also ensure one thing, okay, that category migration should not be there without any genuine change. Okay, so any category migration without genuine change must be prevented. Okay, so these all things must be carried out in order to make the truth or confidence back into the system. Clear? So overall, the solution is not to scrap the EWS, but to purify it so that only the truly serves the last person in the queue. Okay, so it must serve the people for which the policy has been aspired for. Now, there is an ethical and a national imperative along with it. Okay, every aspirant, regardless of category, deserves to be treated with respect. Okay, the system must be transparent and consistent, and there should be no arbitrary changes. Okay, not just formal equality, the state must address real uh, life disadvantages. Okay, the remedy must be proportionate to the harm. Okay, and excluding the SC, ST, OBC from EWS also raises serious questions. Clear? There must be a data on cutoffs, selections, and income profiles must be made public. Those who misuse the system must be penalized, and no policy should be perpetual. Review and reforms are essential in this. Okay, so ultimately, the core message is morality. Even though reservations must remain, but reservation must remain only as a tool for upliftment, not a loophole for privileged. Okay. Public institutions must prioritize justice over convenience. For a country like India, a strong, fair, and inclusive civil services is vital for Viksit Bharat. Okay. So we had seen that how such things have taken place. Okay. What should be the vision for future? Okay. Now, where do we go from here? This EWS controversy is not about these 104 seats in UPSC Civil Services 2025. It is about the soul of Indian democracy. How will we be able to balance merit, equity, and social justice in a country of around 1.4 billion people? The genuine aspirants deserve a fair, transparent, and predictable system. Okay, their hard work must be recognized, their talent must be recognized. Okay, and there has to be an assurance that their dignity is not compromised by their category. The nation needs a reservation policy that is evidence based and not primarily for vote bank. The country must invest in foundational equality for the people so that the quotas become less necessary over the period of time. There has to be a national consensus on what affirmative action should achieve and when it should end. So, with better safeguards, EWS can become a model of genuine economic justice. But in case it is not checked, it will remain a tool in the hands of privileged people. Do let me know what do you feel about this. Okay, and do let me know in the comment section how do you feel about this misuse by the people who can already afford things. If you are also preparing for the civil services examination and targeting 27 or 28 exam, then StudyIQ IAS has launched the GS Foundation batches in English language. So morning English batches have been launched and new batches are starting from 22nd of June. Okay. The courses are priced as per your convenience and still you can avail discount by using the code SRM Live. So use the code SRM Live to avail maximum discount because these batches are based upon our smart model of preparation, which includes structured classes, complete handholding, mentorship, assessment, revision, and regular tests. So this is something that will help you to crack the examination with the best and the most disciplined study schedule. So this was all from my side today. We'll see you all in the next session. Jai Hind.